Strap in for the world's fastest half hour. You're on the Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Herbert and Ralph Sheheen.
The first round of the countdown is in the books. A funny car driver is hitting his stride at just the right time. In Top Fuel, we had a driver pick up his first Wally from the Grove, and a big-time shakeup this week in the crew chief department. Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Sheheen alongside Doug Herbert. Welcome to Straight Line. This is great. It's a huge week here at MRN as it's State Water Heater Week at MRN, and we are ready to kick things off with Straight Line, and I'm really excited about working with you.
Happy to be here, Ralph. We've known each other for a long time and talked to each other at the drag races quite a few times too. So really happy to have you working on the show with us. And man, we're gonna have some great things coming up. I just know it. Yeah,
no, drag racing has always been a huge part of my passion for motorsports. You know, growing up in Sacramento Raceway, right in the backyard, and we spent a lot of time as a family going to the drags. And then, I mean, you know, I'm actually in the final scene at Heart Like a Wheel in the grandstand at OCIR.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was just a kid. I was a kid in the grandstand, yeah. And then, of course, doing play-by-play for the NHRA back in the old TNN days when it was the Winston Drag Racing Series, and with the IHRA as well. So drag racing, the smell of nitro, I love it, can't get enough of it. One guy who might not be getting a big smell of nitro anytime real soon is Jim Oberhofer. Unfortunately, a huge shakeup in the crew chief ranks this week. We just found out Jim has been relieved of his duties at Kalitta Motorsports after 30 years there, holding a variety of positions, last as crew chief for Doug Kalitta, and no longer there.
Well, you know, and Jimmo's been one of my best friends. A lot of listeners to the show have heard Jimmo on the show for years. You know, he's my friend. Yeah, he's general manager, crew chief. I mean, he started out just working there on Scott Kalitta's car back in the late 80s. I mean, he's been there that long. So really a surprising thing. You know, obviously Connie knows what he's doing, and Connie does what he wants to do. So I was a little bit surprised to hear about that, though. I think that was a loss for Kalitta Motorsports. But Jimmo, yeah, he'll be smelling nitro soon. He's too valuable and too knowledgeable in too many different areas. I mean, he can be a team manager. He can run a crew chief. He can, I mean, he can do anything on the car. There's nothing he can't do on the car. He can weld, fabricate, machine. I mean, he's a guy
literally nothing he can do for the organization, right? As you said, he's been in upper management. He's been down in the trenches. He knows it all. What I'm curious about is for Doug. I mean, he's still very much alive in this points fight. Sure. He's 6th in the championship. I got him at 116 points back. Now you're turning over somebody he's really used to working with. How's that going to impact him with 5 to go?
Well, my guess is Connie Kalitta will be involved with tuning that car here for these last few races. And Fashing has been there, you know, kind of being the car chief with Jimmo. So I don't think it'll be a big transition. I don't really see a lot of things changing there. You know, we know how Connie tunes the car, though. He's aggressive. Like, he is aggressive. He wants to rotate the earth every time. But, you know, maybe Ted and Doug can calm him down. I don't know. That's for anybody that has ever talked to Connie Kalitta. He's a great guy, been a friend of mine for over 30 years. But man, he's tough. He's just really tough. And you know, when he's right, or when he thinks he's right, you're not going to convince him otherwise. But nobody in the world that's probably burned more nitromethane than Connie Kalitta. So you can't underestimate his ability as a crew chief. I mean, he's won championships as a crew chief for surely, you know, going down the road. So he understands that. You know, I mean, but he's got a lot of other hats to wear too. Yeah. He's just not a full-time crew chief. So I think, you know, I don't know. Doug Kalitta, in my opinion, is one of the best drivers in Top Fuel. So, you know, just give him a car that'll run down the track and do a good job, and he can win any race there is.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Troy Fashing will take over as named crew chief for the final races beginning at Gateway. All right, let's talk about what happened this past weekend at Maple Grove, and let's begin with Funny Car with JR Todd. Back-to-back wins now. Yep. And great momentum as this countdown begins.
Well, that car's running really good. We're excited to talk to JR on the show a little bit later. I mean, everybody that is a listener and a follower of the show knows, or drag racing in general knows, Del Worsham won the championship driving that car just a couple years ago. Not much has changed over there on that team. So I was actually a little bit surprised that they didn't just come out of the box 2 years ago and start winning, but they're definitely back to that winning form now. I think obviously Del Worsham added something to that, because Del Worsham is another one of those talented people that can drive the car, that can drive the truck, set up the awning, build the engine. Del knows how to do everything, and he does it well.
And that's where I would fall short. Setting up the awning, not necessarily my thing. Steve Torrance, however, I was a little surprised. He's got 22 career wins, but this was his first victory at Maple Grove.
Maple Grove is one of those places that's a little bit hard to race at. I was lucky enough or good enough to win that race one time on a Wednesday, because it's one of those places that it rains every year. Yeah. So this year they didn't get put out by the rain. I think it was... that car's been on a tear. Richard Hogan and Bobby Laguna Jr. have been doing nothing short of stellar job with that car for the last 2 years. Remember last year, they were they were the favorite to win the championship until Steve crashed, had a tire come apart. Something weird happened at Dallas last year, and then they had to bring out their backup car. They had problems the last couple races, and that was still probably not even enough to let them get beat, except Brittany Force got incredibly hot, like Alan Johnson tuned cars sometimes do those last couple races especially, and got him.
All right, well, let's touch base real quickly on the other two categories. Yep. Vincent Nobile, he gets his third win in Pro Stock, and Hector Arana Jr., he's at the far end with a Wally in his hand too. Well,
yeah, and Vincent Nobile grabs the win with a hole shot. And he's one of those guys. He and Shane Gray seem to... they seem to be the guys that can win races on hole shots. Like, they just got it down, and they can rise to the occasion. As, obviously Greg Anderson can, and some of these other guys, but it seems like they just do it every time. They nail the tree. As Hector Arana Jr., Matt Smith had the bike to beat, in my opinion. I think at the race, he was low ET, top speed, number one qualifier. Like, he had everything going on, and then he had something happen in the final round. But he's... I don't think things are going to change much for him. I expect him to be there at the top of the charts here going towards the end of the year. Or, Harley's, they're going to be pretty tough to beat.
They are.
Vance and Hines, we know that. But Matt Smith, man, he does a good job. He's just a hardworking guy. He doesn't, acorn doesn't fall far from the tree with his dad. Ricky Smith, a lot of everybody would probably, drag racing fans would know Tricky Ricky Smith. He knows how to win races. And Matt is his son, so he knows how to win races too. He just always has. I've known him since he's a little kid.
Just shove that mountain motor right into that Pro Stock bike, right? Exactly. Hey, listen, Doug and I and our studios are located right here in North Carolina. And of course, with Hurricane Florence, there was a lot of devastation. Fortunately, we're okay. The studio's okay. The lights are still on. But there's a lot of other folks here in the Tar Heel State and down south in South Carolina that are really struggling. And if you'd like to help them with the Red Cross, please donate. Go ahead and visit www.redcross.org or text Florence to 90999 for a $10 donation to the American Red Cross. We're going to be right back. More Straight Line after this.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com.
If your vehicle is riding rough, it may be time for new shocks or struts. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy a combination of 2 or 4 select Monroe or Rancho shocks and struts and get up to an $80 Visa gift card by mail. Improve your ride with Monroe or Rancho shocks and struts at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supplies. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you ready?
To help children forget about their serious medical conditions so they can just be a kid. Then support Victory Junction, which is the dream of late race driver Adam Petty, who wanted to build a camp where children concentrate on fun and laughter, not illness or disability. At Victory Junction, kids enjoy ziplining, horseback riding, swimming, fishing, all in a medically safe environment, all at no cost to the camper. What do you say, Richard Petty?
Let's do this.
Learn more at victoryjunction.org.
Welcome back to the Straight Line. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Ralph Sheheen and Doug Herbert.
Welcome back to State Water Heaters Week here on MRN as we get ready to bring in our guest here this afternoon. He is the new points leader in the funny car category after getting his second straight win. The driver of the Kalitta Motorsports DHL Toyota, JR Todd, joining us. How are you, JR?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
Yeah, well, you keep winning like that, you're going to be a regular on here.
Hey, I got no problem with that.
We'll have to get you a seat right here between the two of us, JR. Congratulations, man. Back-to-back wins. You guys are on it.
Yeah, Todd Smith and Jono, they got a really good handle on that DHL Toyota right now, and just taking it one race at a time, and they're racing smart, just not going up there and beating ourselves, and hopefully we can keep this momentum going through St. Louis this weekend.
Was there a moment in time where the performance of the car seemed to just click in the last few weeks, and all of a sudden you went, okay, we found something, we're on to something here?
Yeah, I think so. Going back to the race before the U.S. Nationals there in Brainerd, we made a pretty good run there in the semifinals against Tommy Johnson Jr. and came up a little short. And I think they kind of tweaked that at the Indy test session the week before the race, and the car ran really well before the U.S. Nationals. So that gave us a lot of confidence going into the Indy event, and the car picked up where it left off there at the test session, and so far it's been running really well. We kind of had some hiccups there in qualifying in Reading, but the guys, they worked hard and bounced back and put together 4 really consistent runs there on Sunday.
Hey, JR, so in the final you took on Tim Wilkerson, and you can't ever take Tim lightly. You were ready in the final with a 49 light. Well, actually, the 38 light in the semis, then a 49 light in the final. You were up on the wheel, and you wanted that win. You wanted that back-to-back.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty jacked up racing Caps there in the semifinals. That's a championship-winning team, and you got to get up for guys like that. And I don't know where that 38 light came from, but yeah, then racing Wilkerson in the finals, guys like Timmy are dangerous starting from the bottom of the top 10 because they got nothing to lose, and they can go out there and take a big swing, and he did all weekend long and ran really well. He qualified there at the top and made it to the finals, and did what he had to do to make up some ground in the points. I think he's 6 now, and we got some lucky breaks along the way there on Sunday with cars in front of us going out early, and it was a good time to make up ground on them, and that's what we did.
Okay, so you bring up an interesting point. You said these guys from the bottom of the point standings can take bigger swings. Here you are now the points leader, yet you've got this really hot setup. How do you balance that now between we got a car that can really fly, yet we can't be too crazy with what we try to do here?
Yeah, I think, the Todd and John, they're smart enough. They're not going to go out there and get crazy with the tune-up. They work really well, with the TRD guys that are reading the track for us and giving them the grip numbers and just basically, read the weather and read the track and, racing what's out there. So, I'm sure they're already looking at the weather conditions for St. Louis, and, deciding on what they want to do with the tune-up already. So once we get there on Friday, they'll be armed and ready to go. And if the conditions allow for us to throw down Friday night, and we will. But just got to go out there and make smart runs and collect as many of those bonus points in qualifying that we can, and try to turn as many win lights that we can.
Yeah, those small bonus points are going to make a difference, I'm sure, at the end of the year. We were just showing a video on our screen of Connie, and he had a pretty big smile. You could see some teeth there after you won the final round. That was always pretty good to see.
Yeah, that was awesome to get the 100th win for Connie and to do it in Scott's car. That was really special. And Connie, whenever we win, he's usually headed to get on his jet back to Michigan, unless it's his car or Dougie's car, because Dougie's the one flying the plane. But he stuck around and hung out in the winner's circle with us and took pictures, and he was pretty pumped up. I haven't seen him that excited in a long time, and that meant a lot to me. And just can't thank that guy enough for what he's done for the sport and for my career especially.
Oh, obviously the big celebration comes at the end of the year at Pomona, right? If you're standing at the top step of the podium there, but 100 wins is 100 wins. How did you guys celebrate that, or are you going to commemorate that in any way?
We celebrated, a little bit there at the track on Sunday, then dinner afterwards. But the guys, they had to bust ass back to the shop and, get that thing ready to go because we tore up some parts there in Reading. So driver created a little extra work than what was needed. So those guys, they've been working around the clock getting that thing ready for St. Louis. So the celebration was short-lived, but that's okay because, we got to focus on the big picture at hand.
JR, getting hot at the right time is key to winning a championship with this countdown type format. And you guys are getting hot at the right time. What do you got left for these last 5 races or 6 races?
Yeah, somebody, said at Indy, well, at least you guys are peaking at the right time. And I kept saying, hopefully we're not peaking. I hope that we're on the rise, and hopefully we can, peak a few races later. But yeah, I think that we're gonna have to win some more races if we're gonna finish this thing off because Robert Hyde and Courtney and Caps and Hagen, those guys they're really tough and their cars are running strong, and it just takes a little hiccup for any of those guys to make up ground on you. And Reading is proof that can happen. So we gotta stay aggressive and keep our heads down and stay focused and just go out there and race smart.
In baseball, they talk a lot about a pitcher who's on the verge of a shutout. Nobody will talk to the pitcher, right? Or they leave him alone, right? They don't want to bother the pitcher. All kinds of weird vibes people will do with that sort of thing in baseball. How about in drag racing? Where are you with that? Is everybody stay away from the driver or nobody talking to the crew chief? Are you guys trying to keep it similar to every day?
Nah, I don't think that's the case. I mean, usually on a race day, it seems like we're so busy in between rounds with the quick turnaround, especially when it's a live TV event, that you don't really have time to sit down and have people bothering you or nagging you. I mean, I stay busy mixing the nitro and packing parachutes and doing whatever. But, yeah, the crew chiefs, they're the same way. They're up there, analyzing the run and looking at the parts and deciding, on the next tune-up for the next round. So I don't think that's the case. But once I'm in the car, I like to stay, as calm and focused as I can. And that's probably the time that people leave me alone.
Yeah, when you get in the car, leave me alone. I'm in the zone right now. Leave me alone. Hey, question, JR, about that first round race with Bob Tasca. It looked like he left before the tree was activated, and I mean that kind of throws things off sometimes. Do you tell us from your perspective what happened?
Yeah, we most of us were pre-stage, and I'll tell you, going back before you even started the car, I was really nervous for first round. I usually don't get that nervous, but you could tell it's a countdown situation, first race of the playoff, and everything's on the line. And Tasca, he's not in the countdown, so he can go out there and ruin people's days and help out his Don Schumacher racing teammate. So we knew not to take him lightly. And then, we're up there both pre-stage, and I go in and turn on the second light and waiting for him to come on in. And next thing I know, the lights go out, they come back on and go out again. So, yeah, it seemed like he had an issue with, the clutch system. Maybe it was armed or whatever. And I'm not sure he couldn't hold it with the brake. But, yeah, we were fortunate enough to get by that one. Then got another lucky break second round with Mike Smith beating Courtney first round. That was huge for us in the points, and he smoked the tires and made it to the semis. And after that, that's when I knew that we had to step up our game against Caps.
As you look at these remaining 5 races, beginning with Gateway, where do you think you have a big edge on everybody? Is a particular track there that you feel really strong about you and your team and the car's performance?
The rest of the countdown, I'm confident that we can go out there and compete with these guys and girls because, I mean, the DHL team, they won the championship in 2015, and there's a handful of guys that are left over from that winning team, and I think they won 4 races that year in the countdown, and we're heading back to those tracks where they were successful, and they won St. Louis and Charlotte, and went to the final in Dallas, and they know, or actually I think they won Dallas, so they know how to win these events, and I'm looking forward to going back there because I feel like they got good notes to go from, and we'll see what happens.
JR, does running the 2 Kalitta funny cars, do those crew chiefs work together, and that kind of helps attract, I don't know, adjustments and so forth that you guys would do in a multi-car team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Mickey Bonifani going over there to Sean Langdon's car to bring on Kurt Elliott, they work really well with Todd and Jono, and they're either in our lounge sharing information, or Todd and Jono are over in their lounge, sharing information. So I feel like the 2 funny cars are as closely prepared as they've ever been, and you can see the way they're running out on the track now. I mean, in qualifying, one car will go out there and make a run, and they'll come back and make adjustments to the other car based on what happens. So that's the benefit of having a two-car team. And I hate to see it. Those guys struggled the way they did there on Sunday and Reading. They basically just raced the wrong person with Robert Hite qualifying in the 11th spot and kind of got ambushed there. But I look for him to bounce back and run well the rest of the countdown for sure.
Well, he's a driver of the Kalitta Motorsports DHL Toyota. He is a points leader in the funny car category. JR Todd, winner 2 races in a row now. We're just going to assume we'll see you here again next week, okay?
Hey, I hope so, guys. I really want to be talking to you again next week.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Racing Electronics Hotline. JR Todd. Well, we're going to come right back for more of Straight Line here with MRN. Stay with us here on State Water Heater Week. Yeah, that one. We'll be right back.
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at premier National Series events, and the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. Race fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's NASCAR champ Kurt Busch.
For me, racing is all about winning. Off the track, I feel the same way. I like to be associated with companies and products that I consider to be top performers. State brand water heaters are top performers, and no matter what kind of water heater you need, State has it, even hybrid and tankless. Take it from me, when it comes to hot water, don't get caught with anything less than a State water heater. Get yours today. Go to statewaterheaters.com and use the Request a Quote from a Pro tool.
You're staged for another run on the Straight Line. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Once again, here's Doug and Ralph.
Welcome back to State Water Heater Week here on MRN. Hey, got it that time.
You got it.
So it's written right there. That's all I got to do. For 3 decades, Racing Electronics has been the #1 choice for racing scanners, headsets, and the popular FanVision handheld unit. Racing Electronics provides the ultimate fan experience for drag racing fans. Stop by our trackside locations or visit racingelectronics.com for more information. We just had JR Todd on our Racing Electronics hotline, and unfortunately, Steve Torrance is not going to be able to join us here this afternoon, getting ready for the race at Gateway coming up this weekend. But let's go ahead and chat a little bit about Top Fuel, something near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting category to watch.
It's going to be really interesting. I think Steve Torrance has the car to beat now. We talked about that a little bit in the Open. They 6 wins this year. They're just strong. So if they don't need to change anything. They just need to continue on through the rest of the year as they're doing. They're consistent. They're strong. They're fast. I think one of the things that is pretty exciting to me actually is my buddy Clay Milliken, #2 in points, went to the semi, qualified #1, low ET and top speed up at Reading. Man, that team's doing a great job. David Grubnick and Doug Stringer have put together a neat combination there, and Clay is doing. I'm just really proud of that team and what they're doing. Their budget, by the way, is considerably less than any of the other top 5 teams for sure, and maybe even less than that. But it's considerable how much less money they're spending and how fast that car is going and how well it's
So
doing.
what do they do though? Because now we heard JR talking about this, that sometimes there's guys that can be taking big swings. Well, if you are on a budget, you can't necessarily afford a big swing, can you? Because if things go wrong, you got a real problem. So how do they balance budget with what they have to do on the racetrack?
Well, I think Dave Grubnick has that car prepared where it's not hurting parts. So they can swing for the fence and maybe smoke the tires or shake the tires or something, but they're not breaking the parts, which is, that's the most expensive part.
Key.
You go up there and you throw away a run by smoking the tires, and that does put you behind because then you have to make sure that you don't smoke the tires the next run, so you're backing everything down. But when you're not breaking parts, everything's pretty good, you know.
Sometimes you find a team that's just on a roll inside the organization. Maybe they haven't hit on something like we found out with JR Todd, where they hit on a setup necessarily. But here they just got luck and momentum going their way, and you almost can't do anything wrong. And sometimes that can be a huge factor to how you perform.
Well, momentum is probably the biggest factor, really. You know, you get on a roll, and I've went into racetracks before. You just come in and you just know when you pull in, we're going to win this race. This is just our weekend. Everything is, the crew is working well together. The car, everything's perfect. You know, the first time you start the car up, it idles perfectly. It's just like, there's some of those times when everything goes right. I think that's about the path that JR Todd is on. But there again, I don't see that Steve Torrance being much different than that. And I really don't see Clay Millican's path being much different than that. It's pretty impressive to me. Number 2 in points and a car that runs that well. I mean, that would be the storybook of the year. Clay Millican winning the championship with with a relatively low budget. You know, that doesn't exactly sound right, but I mean, compared to the others, they're running on a lot less money, and the guys working on the car are just working really hard to make it happen.
And they're just working well as a unit.
Yep.
As you look through the top 10 here, Torrance, Schumacher, Millican, Pritchett, Brown, Kalitta, Salinas, McMillan, Scott Palmer, and then Brittany Force, the reigning champs, in back there in 10th, 167 points back. Any dark horses in there that you think might be able to all of a sudden get on a run here?
You know, with only 5 races left, you can't really count anybody out. I mean, basically what happened last year with Brittany Force, right? She came on those last 3 races and just wiped them out. But the people in the front also have to stumble. So it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't necessarily see any dark horse in Top Fuel. Funny car, you can't ever count out John Force, you know. John Force. You think, oh man, that poor old guy, you know, let's just have a retirement party for him, and then he'll come out and he could win the last 3 or 4 races. It would not be out of the question at all.
No doubt about it.
You just, you know, he's my dark horse pick, I'd say, John Force.
Okay. Well, we are not done here at State Water Heaters Week on MRN. We got a lot more coming your way here on Straight Line, so stay with us. We're going to be right back for more.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Eventually, it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Ralph and Doug.
Welcome back here, State Water Heaters Week on MRN. Ralph Sheheen and Doug Herbert with you as we are working our way through the Straight Line. You know, I know at the end of the show you like to do the O'Reilly Auto Parts red light, green light, and normally red light is something that's not working so well, and green light something that's cool. I'm not trying to take over the show here my first week with you, but I'm taking over the show with my first week here with you. We're going to go just green light. Watch this. This is amazing, and it's right in your wheelhouse, Doug. This is Denise Mueller-Korneck on a bicycle at Bonneville, and she's pedaling. She's not holding on to anything. She is in the quote-unquote the draft. Now watch this. She was in that, and on a bicycle pedaling. She hit 183.9 miles an hour.
No kidding. That is awesome. If you're hopefully the people streaming live on MRN.com or Facebook or whatever, this is unbelievable. She's pedaling that bike almost 184 miles an hour behind. It looks like a dragster with kind of a big, I don't know, some kind of a big wind.
Yeah. Shield, like a windshield,
Windshield, big windshield. And then, wow, that's pretty cool. So Bonneville, I love Bonneville, and I'm still working on my car to go to Bonneville, hopefully next summer.
And I'm not pedaling behind you, just so you know.
Come on, I would tow you along. You don't even have to pedal.
What is the gearing like on a bicycle that goes 184 miles an hour behind that thing?
That is pretty funny. That's amazing. I don't know if I want to ride a bike 184 miles an hour.
When you watch the video, she gets like head shake and everything. I mean, it's incredible.
Going on. Yeah.
It is incredible, and I can't imagine again the upper body strength of holding onto that thing. And you can see she actually bangs into the back of it a couple of times. It's just insane.
That's pretty. That's pretty wild.
Denise Mueller-Korneck, 183.9 miles an hour at Bonneville on a bicycle.
Wow.
Congratulations, Denise. You get the green light. And if we had a bicycle Wally to give you, I think we would both give her one, wouldn't you?
No kidding. Yeah, that was pretty incredible. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. Pretty exciting. Hey, you know what? I was just thinking something. I told you Force was my dark horse favorite in the championship deal. John Force had top speed of the meet at Reading as well.
That's
so
right.
There's another reason to not count out John Force. Courtney Force has really been probably the dominant car. Yeah. Now, the last couple of races, JR Todd's taken over, but she's really had the dominant car probably all year long. Brian Karate going over there from Antron Brown's team seems like a pretty incredible difference.
Yeah. So, hey, enjoyed this. Do it again
Great
next week.
day. Yes,
all
sir.
Right, see you then. Hey, they're moving on to Gateway. We'll be here with all the results from it when we come back to join you. Don't forget about the Red Cross. Donate. Visit www.redcross.org or text Florence to 90999 for a $10 donation to the American Red Cross. For Doug, I'm Ralph. So long from Straight Line.